How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTCReaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. So over on Bitcoin dominance, we are seeing a little bit of indecision. We do have a little bit of green, but this is overall a doji indecision candle. Our momentum is overall weakening. VWAP is pulling back. Our money flow is in the green, but is pulling back as well. Stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI is weakening, so I would watch. We could continue to see this drop down if that VWAP does not reverse, but this probability does show we could continue forward. I would say we did make that full probability, so I would be watching more for the probability to the downside. So it does say we could see 55. That would be positive for altcoins, as Bitcoin would weaken against altcoins, meaning Bitcoin could go up, but altcoins would outperform it, and we would see an alt season. So over on total, it does look like we may see a retrace before we see that alt season. Momentum is flat. Money flow is starting to kind of taper away, as that VWAP is very weak. Watch that VWAP close. It needs to bounce and continue forward if we're going to get further bullish momentum. Otherwise, we are likely going to see a rejection, and then we would see a further drop. We did get about half of our drop if you're considering these candle wicks. So over on the 1 hour here, there is a bit of a probability we could push forward, so there is a probable move where we could get a higher high, and this would be a higher low. We need to bounce over the next couple hours if we're going to see that happen. Otherwise, we may see these lower probabilities happen instead. Our RSI is starting to pull back. Money flow is weakening. VWAP is favoring bearish with lower lows and consistent low highs. If we remain below this neutral, momentum will remain bearish. Money flow will continue to pull back. Higher time frames will weaken and we would drop. This could be a double top where you have a rise, a drop, a rise, a drop, and then you would continue lower if you're not careful. So we would want to invalidate that with a bullish continuation instead. Over on Bitcoin dominance or Bitcoin futures, we really don't have much to talk about. Still on the weekend, pretty much just open, so we're going to jump straight to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we did try to get a break up, but we did get a rejection. We'll talk about that on the lower time frames. We do have this arrow here. I'm not sure if that's a reversal arrow. That may mean our trend could start to pull back. We'll have to kind of see what that means. I haven't seen that on this indicator yet, so we will kind of have to watch and see how it plays out. Back here, we did get one. We did see indecision. We did start to pull back, so maybe it means the trend may be shifting. Momentum does want to pull back. RSI is starting to drop. Stochastic is pulling back. VWAP is favoring bearish, and money flow is pulling back. So I would watch the daily pretty close here. Over on the 1 hour, we do have lower highs with lower lows. So we do have a bit of a bearish continuation trying to go on here. We did get that third touch to the top. We tried to break out and we got a retest. And on that retest, we got a rejection. That's why we say watch for your confirmations, because we did not get confirmation of a breakout and we ended up pulling back instead. RSI is starting to pull back. Stochastic does want to make a bounce though, as Stochastic could try to continue forward. If it does and it holds above that 30, RSI could lead price higher. It does look like we do have some probabilities of making a bounce, so this could be a lower low. Then we could try to make a lower high here. It does have a 70% chance. If we do not push past that lower high at that 90k, then we could see bearish continuation that would retest that 86k, 87k range. However, if we do break through there and we get a higher high, then we could continue toward that 95k and continue that bullish momentum. Our Stochastic does want to make that bounce, so it does look positive. VWAP has higher highs with higher lows, so that VWAP needs to break that neutral and hold. If it can, then momentum will push forward. Money flow can remain more bullish, and we can strengthen those higher time frames and push up. Again, we do see that dominance may push down a little bit, but if total can make a rebound and Bitcoin pushes less than total, that would account for our alt season and altcoins outperforming Bitcoin. We'd have to see how long that happens. These probabilities do look like they do happen in a relative short time frame, so maybe we get a quick alt boom and then maybe Bitcoin takes over after. Remember, it goes in kind of cycles and swings. Over on the daily for graph, Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is starting to pull back. Momentum is rounding. VWAP does have a current low high, so I would watch. If that lower high does roll over and push below that neutral, momentum could fall, money flow would weaken, and we could end up retracing, possibly making a double top and then breaking down just like total. So we would want to see a bullish continuation on these lower time frames where we get higher highs and higher lows. So we need to break that 20,087 and then push forward for higher highs. There is a 40% probability just shy that we could do so, but there's a 60% probability we get hung up on that 19,791. So if we get hung up there and we see a pullback, I would exercise caution, as that could mean we may retrace toward that 16,316. RSI is starting to pull back, money flow is pushing down. That VWAP does want to break that neutral though. If that VWAP can break through and hold, momentum will push forward with that double green dot, money flow will remain green, and then we will see those higher time frames continue forward, and then we could see that bullish probability. If that VWAP makes a rejection here, that's where that bullish scenario is likely to happen. So that's why that VWAP is important. Remember, momentum lags behind VWAP and money flow lags behind momentum. So over on Anchor for the daily, we do have a probability of a pullback here as well, pretty consistent with the rest of the market, but we are hanging on our 30 support, so I would watch for a bounce and a continuation toward that 34. Our stochastic is starting to push down, momentum does want to round, RSI is pulling back, and that VWAP, much like graph, does have a potential lower high, so watch for it to break that neutral. If it holds bearish on lower time frames, that would be likely to happen. Over on the 1 hour, RSI is pulling back, money flow is dropping. VWAP does have a slightly lower high, so watch if it rolls over and favors bearish like here or here. If it does, momentum will remain bearish, money flow will continue to weaken. Higher time frames would then start to weaken over time. Remember, when that money flow goes from green to red and it holds, higher time frames weaken, and we do get stronger pushes to the downside. When you get the lower time frames in the red, that's where you get your lower, weaker fluctuations. So over on XRP for the daily, we do have some indecision here as well. We do have the potential to pull back to around that 81,445 now, so a bit lower than before. Has a 66% chance. There is also a chance we could pull back below 40, which before it was 45. Momentum does want to round. RSI is starting to pull back. Stochastic does look like it's starting to weaken, so watch that stochastic. If it makes a break, RSI will lead price lower. VWAP does want to pull back, money flow is in the green, but if that VWAP pulls back and breaks that neutral, momentum will drop, money flow will follow, and we will see a further bearish push. So over on the 1 hour, I'm not too keen on how this looks here, so we'll go default 2. That did not help. So over on the 1 hour here, our stochastic does want to push up, VWAP is trying to push up, momentum does want to gain strength, money flow is in the green. We do have a potential higher low here, and there is a possibility we push for a lower high. That is a 21% chance, but there's a 78% chance we get higher high here, so that would be positive, as that would push us above about $1.30, so that could push us just above 136. That VWAP would need to stay bullish, momentum would want to break forward, money flow would want to remain bullish as well, so we need to continue bullish momentum from here if we're going to get that push forward. There is a good probability on our side for that to happen, it does look like though. So remember, if you have any special requests, drop them in chat, as we will stop after algo if there are no other requests. So over on the daily here, we are seeing a pullback. Momentum does want to round. Stochastic does look like it could pull back. VWAP is pulling back as well. RSI is dropping. So overall, most of our indicators are starting to round and pull back. Watch lower time frames. If they start to favor bearish and hold in bearish territory, then we could weaken those higher time frames. I did not mean to do that. So there we go, back to where we were. So over on the 1 hour here, I did accidentally move that buy-in. So if you're saying, hey, maybe we push up, you could move your buy-in. Say you want to buy in right now, modify order. Then you could, I don't think that went through. Maybe push it a little higher. That way it could go through. There you go. So that would be intentional that we would push up. There's a 50% chance we get a lower high. I would watch for a rejection around that 19. But if we can overcome that, there is a 42% chance of getting a higher high and then potentially continuing a bullish trend from there and getting a push toward around that 23-25 cent area. We can get SUI for you after this, Mr. Gameplay or NR Gameplay. Momentum does want to push up. We do have a green dot. VWAP is trying to break that neutral. So overall, we do look positive. That VWAP needs to stay bullish if we're going to get that push toward and beyond that 19 cent to get that momentum to 25 cents. So SUI. So we will do SUI on KuCoin just to keep it consistent. So over on the daily here, we do have a pretty strong run up overall. We do have a higher high. We are seeing, let's see, not very much price history here. This coin did start in 23, so I would warn against any kind of run up. I have heard of it before, but usually when coins that are newer get big explosive run ups, there is typically some sort of a sell-off period. So if you do have profits, maybe consider taking some or take your initial out just so you don't have much risk in the game. Our momentum does want to push up. We could continue forward just like all the other altcoins, so do keep that in mind as well. VWAP does want to push up. Momentum is bullish. Money flows in the green, so we do look positive here. We can draw a fixed range volume profile, but it really wouldn't do us much good as there's not much price history in this range. So we will jump over to the 1 hour. We do have some probabilities laid out here on the 1 hour for us, so we'll zoom in to see what those would be. Over from this high back here, there was a 100% chance we would see a drop down. We did get that drop down right here a little bit earlier than projected, so we could continue forward. There is a 30% chance of a lower high, but there is a 70% chance we do break about $4, so that is a pretty decent move forward. That's about a 25-cent gain from where we are. Stochastic does want to pull back. RSI is starting to weaken. VWAP is favoring bearish, and money flow does want to make a bounce. So if that VWAP can continue and break that neutral, our momentum could bounce, money flow could remain green, and that would give us that probability to break forward. We are kind of at a consolidation range. We'll draw a horizontal line here. So you see we have a lot of candle bodies and wicks in this range. We need to break above this range and then continue forward with higher highs and higher lows in order to get that break up to around that $4 mark. So hopefully I got what you would like. Join us in our Discord. If you're not, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Can't get words out today, obviously. Thank you for watching.